Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Edessa the Dark Crusade. Memnon of Clan Lasombra has taken a keen interest in expanding the canite sense of domain within the neighborhood he dwells in. He has currently thought with his extra wealth to throw around that investing perhaps in some mercantile men would be an investment towards its defense. One can never know when, well, a loyal, if by coin, guard could change the outcome of a surprise attack. Having heard the whispers of hostile interests happening outside of the city, Memnon thinks this is a wise course to take. So, in the beginning of his night, he goes out and feeds, as he knows he must prepare himself for social interaction, and he would be amiss if he succumbed to hunger necessary for the silence of blood. He does his hunting in the dark and the shadows. He preys upon the unsuspecting who are caught alone. And when he finds his fill, he proceeds to a tavern that he hasn't visited in quite a while. He's heading to the Lantern. And I believe, yeah, I believe he'll go it alone, as he leaves his ghouls to their nightly chores and tasks. So yeah, when he arrives, what does he find?
He finds the place much as he's seen it other times. I'm assuming it's fairly early in the night still. And so there's quite a few people who are enjoying the candlelight, and he knows many of them. They're laborers, they're craftsmen who come here to get away from the day's troubles. But he makes a point of knowing people, so finds that he's generally hailed by the people there and welcomed, particularly, of course, by the proprietor and by the woman at the who's serving drinks. And she comes to him and asks quietly whether he'd like to drink alone or whether he is interested in company, and if so, what kind of company.
Hmm. Uh
This, of course, is his ghoul
oh,
who's
okay.
asking.
Oh, Sophia. Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, Memnon says he is open to company. Um, he asked her if there's anyone whom is a mercantile man, someone eager to make coin but is skilled at arms. I hope that's a good descriptive.
Sure. She glances out over the crowd and says, "Not that I've seen in here tonight, my lord, but talk to that gentleman over there. He is a builder, and oftentimes hires fellows to keep watch on his buildings.
Hmm.
You might know someone, many someones."
Thank you, my lady. Keep an eye out in the future days to come if you hear of any whispers or see anybody that is the kind that I'm looking for.
Of course, with pleasure.
And he gives her a little bit of an affectionate pat on the hand, like, you did good, cool. And,
She looks thrilled to be helpful.
right, shouldn't all Memnon School be helpful just like him?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, okay, so the person she pointed to, what does it look like he's doing?
He looks like he's just drinking and relaxing with his friends.
How many friends does he have?
There's 2 others with him at the table.
Okay. Oh, I've been meaning to ask. I think it might be a good time. So the blush of health works how? Like by spending a blood point or something like that, or is that only for like people on certain paths?
Do you have Blush of Health?
The merit, no.
Okay. Um, yeah, so you can't, but you're looking to just kind of seem more alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you spend a point of blood, you can basically make your skin warmer, um, make your it basically just gets rid of some of the various things that make you more obviously dead.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, does it take like one blood point per application, like one target thing, or?
No, just spend 1 blood point, and then you're pretty much set. You still don't have a heartbeat, but like your
Okay.
hands are warm and
Yeah. I don't think their conversations and get all touchy feely.
I mean, just warning you, just
Yeah,
warning.
yeah, yeah.
If you clasp him to your bosom, he might notice.
Okay, fair enough. Uh,
You're like, fair, no clasping. Got it.
okay, so yeah, before Memnon leaves Sophia's side, he'll just say, why don't you bring them around on me? And we'll give her the coin to put in the till. And
Mhm.
he'll approach the table and just ask ever so politely if he can have a word with the gentleman.
Of course, of course. He gestures for you to sit down.
He'll take his seat and he'll say, good evening, sir. Do you know of me? My name is Memnon.
He offers you a hand and says, by reputation only. Pleasure to meet you.
He'll take his hand and he'll shake it. Ah, thank you. And what is your name, sir?
My name is Simon, Simon the Builder.
Ah, a builder. Yes, 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 yes. I come here based on the recommendation that you, as a businessman, you've come across men whom you've had to employ for security's sake.
Of course, absolutely. We do
I,
both coursework and fine, and there are many things that must be brought or carted in quantities that are difficult to conceal and therefore must be protected.
hmm, yes, yes. Security seems to be quite a business in and of itself. I
Well said.
myself, hmm?
Well said.
Hmm. I was looking to hire men of my own. But I'm not quite familiar with such a class of men. As a tradesman, one to the other, could you find it in your heart to point me in the right direction?
Of course. I may know a few that I could spare from my own contacts. Yes. And he will give you a couple names that I'm frantically getting together now.
That's fine. That's fine. As you do that, Memnon will kind of he'll he'll reward him with his charity by saying, and as a builder yourself, and as well as mine, yeah, there are many projects I envision for our city. If you are ever in lack of work or perhaps may need funding, I wouldn't mind having an enterprise with you.
Ah, a generous offer. I will certainly keep it in mind. You come well recommended, sir.
Thank you.
I
I
have worked
have.
with stoneworkers who have been in your employ before.
I hope they have felt equitably paid. for their services. Not to, well, I know that I have gained a reputation of being somewhat pushy.
That you have. But occasionally, pushy is necessary. I understand myself.
I would never ask anyone to do something I wasn't willing to do. And I get my hands dirty. I go into the trenches and help.
He nods, kind of curiously.
I guess the figurative term of trenches may not be the same thing in this period of time.
I mean, trenches are a thing still, but I know what you meant. We're all talking in translation anyway. You're speaking Arabic, so you get the idea across. He's not.
Oh God, is this guy Muslim?
He looks pretty Frankish.
Frankish. Okay. God, that came out so messed up. Oh my
It did,
God.
but I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. You're like, oh shit, my flaw.
Yeah.
No, I got you. I got you. You're right. It does sound pretty awful, though.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I knew what you meant. So he's going to give you names and addresses. You know where you could probably find them. Where he goes to find them. Kuze and Nu are the names that he gives you.
Who's saying what?
Nu?
Newt?
N-U-H. Nu.
Okay. Memnon will thank him. And he'll mention as if something he almost forgot. There is a orphanage I found within Riverside. There are many young lads who I think would be eager for the chance to learn a craft, a trade, and make something of themselves. I've been thinking of separate enterprise, wherein a businessman like yourself, I'm sure, could always be in use of extra hands, extra muscle, if you will. What would you say to an offer of me sponsoring apprentices for you, if in turn you would allow them to work on projects for me when they are not working on projects for you?
He gives you a curious glance. Not entirely sure how I feel about raising up a generation of my competition, but it's an interesting offer. Interesting indeed.
Ah, Memnon steeples his fingers to his lips, as if, he realizes that part of the proposal. You're right, my good sir. I had never quite considered that angle. Indeed, indeed. It would end
It
up.
sounds as though you have a more generous heart than a canny mind. A commendable, what do you call it?
Quality.
That's commendable. Quality, thank you. I need some fucking caffeine.
It's okay. Oh, it's fine. Memnon will say, my interest in the architectural field is somewhat more specific and scaled, though there's always room for more help. I am not one that needs all the coin in the realm.
Well, I'm sure I don't need all the coin in the realm either, but if someone offered it to me, I might be willing to take a gander.
Well, perhaps we can make a coin together someday.
I look forward to it.
I guess Memnon will just make casual conversation about like
Hmm.
work and architecture
Hmm.
until Sophia comes with the drinks.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
no, no. That's fine because that'll be his like, oh, here, around on me. I must take my leave.
Okay, sure, absolutely. Yeah, you guys chat and they talk about the weather and how that's affected business and um, how it's been a
Ooh,
weird
ooh.
year. Hmm?
That's actually interesting. What uh, not to make you make up a whole new conversation, but
Hmm.
uh, what is his major concern about the weather with work? Like,
Well,
what
it's been
effect
an
does it?
unusually wet and wacky year. There's been an unusual number of storms, um, very unusual number of storms, violent storms, sudden storms, the kinds of things that you know he'll tell you straight out that as a builder, he has to keep a very close eye on the weather so that he doesn't have piles of lumber sitting out or and isn't trying to like plaster on days when it's just too wet.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, this time of year, there can be flooding, especially in places. Well, Memnon's very familiar with where in the city you get
Yeah,
bad flooding. But even when
yeah,
the rest of the city is just fine, sometimes there will be flooding in various parts of the city.
right,
Um,
right.
it doesn't often get down to freezing, but this rainy
Season.
season, thank you, can make it very hard.
Yes, yes. I'm not taking that in. Hmm. You're right. Well, we must, I suppose, hope for the best and pray to God. I said that. Pray to God for prevention.
we do. But then as she arrives with the drinks, they are pleased and praise your generosity and compliment you in loud voices. And you are able to sneak off and take your leave while they compliment themselves on their good fortune.
Awesome. Cool. Memnon will, yeah, he'll head back towards his neighborhood. And along the way, in thinking about all the minutia of, if I meet these men, what can I offer them? Blah, are they any good? I'm gonna have to train them. Yeah. He finds his path of thought he, flowing back to a younger gentleman that he had met at a party long ago,
Hmm.
and he thinks to himself where he might be able to find him. What did the boy tell him where he could find him?
Hmm. He is a neighbor of yours and is right down the street, according to him.
Yes, Memnon will he's finding it himself just difficult to recall their conversation, but since he seems to be in the mood for a hiring pool, we'll go see what skills the boy has.
Okay. So you go to the place where he lets you know that he could definitely be found. Um, and when you knock on the door, you are greeted by a woman who resembles him in many ways, but she doesn't quite have that same wild look in her eye. She's
Mhm.
actually, maybe brushed her hair before in her life. And when you say that you're looking, she recognizes you, of course, because you are, an upstanding figure in this neighborhood. When
Mhm.
you say that you're looking for Pedro, um, she's surprised and pleased and says, "Oh, he's found a room of his own. It's down a few streets, and I'm afraid he's not here." But she describes a house to you that is still within your domain.
Mhm. Okay.
It's further from the guild halls, deeper into. Let's see, where's your domain? Let me find this map real fast. what's it called?
Oh, the name of my domain?
So it's deeper into the merchants district,
Oh,
towards the river.
okay. Yeah. Memnon will thank the good lady and make a polite um, comment about her son. You know, something like that. Seems like an upstanding gentleman.
She gives you kind of a worried look, like she knows that's not true.
Nice. Nice. I'm finding all things out about this kid.
What?
I'm finding out all kind of things about this kid.
She still seems affectionate, but be like, oh yeah, I've heard he's a really good, upstanding gentleman. And she's like, ha, who have you been
That's you.
talking to? Yeah, exactly. Not my boy. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Memnon will bid her good night, and he'll try to find his way. This kid.
So with a little bit more searching, you come upon the house that she described to you, and it's more along the lines of a boarding house. There are a lot of it's the kind of place that usually has a number of young men living there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Without their families, which is much more rare in this day and age than in the modern nights, because people tend to stay with their families. But there he is. You knock on the door and are let inside to what's basically a everyone has their own rooms, but they're small rooms with a large common area downstairs.
Mhm.
And there are a number, even at this time of night, there are a number of men with their doors open, and some of them don't even have doors. They just have like cloth slung across the doorway. Obviously not wildly expensive or well-to-do sort of living arrangement, but this guy pops his head out and is almost uncomfortably pleased to see you. He says, "I knew you'd come. I knew you'd come."
Memnon offers him a smile. Well, good evening, Pedro. I'm glad to see that my presence is welcomed.
Very. How can I help you?
Well, I just wanted to get reacquainted with you. That night at the party, I'm sure most of us were intoxicated. That's a lie. Do you need me to roll that? Do you need me to roll that lie?
Um, yeah, sure. Go ahead and roll it.
Do, 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 do. Your success.
Mm-hmm. He's not watching too closely, so keep going.
Um, I am looking to expand my entourage. I wanted to get reacquainted with you. I do remember you said that you'd be willing to work for me, was it? So,
Of course, of course, of course. What do you need done?
well, what is it that you do, young man? What is your profession, or where do you excel?
Oh, I'm a very quick learner. I am skilled at learning quickly. Set me a task and I will accomplish it. I've been a builder, a baker, you name it.
Memnon cocks his head. Well, what was the last job you were doing?
I helped a merchant carry goods to and from market.
Are you literate?
No, my lord.
Do you know your numbers?
Of course. You can roll your perception empathy.
nothing.
Yeah, totally literate.
Okay. Good. You can
Seems
count apples,
legit.
I guess. Yeah. Hmm. Well then, what is it that you would like to do? What is your passions?
He stares at you. Um, and then he kind of grins and he says, "Well, if you ask about my passions, I am a lover, not a fighter. Wine and women and music are my passions."
Um, what in like number of dots on a sheet? What would be this kid's like appearance rating?
On
This
a good
kid's.
day, he's a well. If you cleaned him up,
Mhm,
if you which obviously hasn't happened in some time, he
mhm.
could maybe be a 3. On a good day,
On a good day.
he's yeah, on a 3. On a good day, if you clean him up, he could be a 3. He's a pretty solid 1.5 to 2 if he doesn't clean up.
Mm, mm.
You'd guess that of wine, women, and music. Hopefully, he has some talent with music. He probably is quite skilled with wine, but you might have some trouble with women.
Mm. So, would you describe yourself as a artist of some sort?
An appreciator of the arts.
And well, when you are crafting, what is the medium you choose often?
I'd love to dance, but as far as crafting goes, I have good hands, a keen eye. You're pretty sure he doesn't have a keen eye. He sure seems nice, but he doesn't seem to have a keen eye. He seems a little bit feisty eyed. Like I've said, I've worked as a baker, a carpenter. He kind of racks his brains. A bricklayer. And I
I
know
tell.
people.
I'm sorry. What did he say? He knows
And
people.
I know people.
My boy, I think I know just the job I have for you. Can we talk somewhere in private?
Of course, of course. And he pulls you in and closes the door. Assuming you let yourself be pulled in by this slightly wild eyed man.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
assuming Memnon's like, I could take him, all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Not too worried about this guy jumping me, but if you decide you don't want to go into his room, that's totally fair.
no, 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 no. He will. Give me 1 second. I'll be
Mhm.
right back.
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so yeah, Memnon goes into the room, and he well, I mean, does the kid have like a seat?
Uh, there is a low, narrow bed, um, kind of a cot. There's a small table, and but it's like a low table,
Mhm.
and there's a mat in front of it.
Memnon will just stand.
The kid will plop himself on the mat and gesture for Memnon to take the bed if he wishes to sit.
He'll just hold up a
You're like,
polite
nope,
hand,
still
saying, "No,
stand.
that's fine." Yeah, I'll stand.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yes, Memnon will say, "I am looking for someone to be my eyes and ears upon the streets. Someone who can tell me the kind of information, personal information of, well, people that have my interests. Since you seem to be capable of learning quickly and adapting, I'm sure that you might not have any problem with a ever-changing quarry. Perhaps one day I might ask you to look upon a builder. Perhaps another day I'd ask you to look upon a seamstress. Would that be something that interests you?"
Of course, you've come to the right place. I can, of course, help with that. I have a keen eye.
Mm, I'm sure you do. Memnon, Memnon will hmm, let me think. Okay, yeah, Memnon's gonna ask him if he has any formal training with arms.
He shakes his head. No, Lord. Like I said, lover, not a fighter, a builder, a craftsman. Many, many crafts, but I would not say I'm a fighter.
Well, I will give you lessons nonetheless. I can't have my investment unable to protect himself. That will come in time.
Of course, if you say so, of course.
Tell me something, Pedro. What do you hope for this city? You hope to remain here? You hope to become a part of it, or might you have dreams elsewhere?
I wouldn't mind a bit of travel. See a bit of the world, but this is where my family comes from. Suppose everything I have is here.
Well, that's good that you're open to adventures. There may come a time that I would need someone to go abroad and carry out certain interests of mine.
Of course, I'm very adventurous. I came to find you, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Tell me why again you came to find me. And Memnon's going to use dominate too.
Oh, okay.
He wants the truth.
Uh huh. No, that's good. Yeah. Go ahead and roll it.
Uh,
While you do that, I'm gonna grab some water. I'll be right back. Okay, what'd you get? Did I lose you? Can you hear me? You're muted if
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
no worries.
I scored a 1, but what is his willpower? If his willpower is greater than 4, then I would say I have.
No, it's a nice fat 4.
So then 3 success.
Okay. And let me. You said you're using Dominate 2?
Yeah. Because I feel Tell Me is a little too vague for Dominate 1. Like.
You should tell me the truth or tell me?
Well, he said, "Tell me why you sought me out."
Okay.
Just for specifics.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so he answers you almost a little bit startled that the words are coming out of his mouth quite so plainly.
Mm-hmm.
And what he says is, "Oh, I was completely broke, and I heard you might not be too picky, as long as the work you needed got done." And then he kind of, like, jerks back, like, "Whoa, that's not what I meant to say."
Memnon will say, you are in a bit of desperation. I can understand desperation. It is nothing to be ashamed of. Why, there are many things a man would agree to when he is desperate. But that is not a quality I would have as an underling. One must guard their own desperation. It gives too much away.
"Yes, my lord. Of course. Of course, my lord."
And let's see. Memnon will say, he'll say that desperation, of course, has its way of instilling doubt. What ends would a desperate man go to secure coin? It is understandable, but one must always weigh their risks. So, you know what? Can I just roll? I don't know if that should be a manipulation, empathy, or intimidation. Like Memnon's trying to subtly let him know, like, if I find out you're lying to me.
Yeah, go ahead and roll your manipulation. What's it called? Intimidation.
Success.
Okay. He kind of shrinks back and says, "Oh, of course, of course, of course. You've nothing to fear from me, of course."
That's good. Because Pedro, amongst nothing else, if you were unskilled, lame, or retarded, your willingness to work for me is the most valuable asset. Anyone can be trained, anyone can be educated. So, I hope in the nights to come, we'll be a little bit more earnest with what it is you hope to achieve from our business relationship.
"Yes, my lord, very well. Earnest. Yes. I shall be earnest."
That's the don't make me condition you, kid. kind of talk,
Absolutely.
If nothing else, Memnon can use a mindless drone.
He smiles kind of nervously at you.
Right. So Memnon will just look around his the guy's apartment, and I mean, like, does it look like it's an expensive place for him to afford? Does it look run down? You know.
It definitely doesn't look like it's an expensive place. It doesn't much look like he's got his shit together. It's not necessarily run down. Like, the place is not nice, right? But it's not in shambles. He doesn't have garbage laying around everywhere either. Go ahead and give me a give me a perception leadership roll, if you would.
Sure. That'd be 16. Does my cute sense of sight come into play?
I'm gonna say no, not this time. Oh.
One success.
Looking at this guy, it's quite obvious that he, for some reason, has fallen on hard times. He doesn't seem stupid to you. He doesn't seem malicious to you. He maybe seems willing to be malicious if he needed to, but it doesn't really seem to come naturally to him. He doesn't, try to manipulate you or intimidate you. You would guess that this guy has just generally pretty low willpower when it comes to things, and is easily distracted. That's the sense that you get, is that he just probably isn't super reliable. And that's, with a leadership role, that's what seems to be your guess, having not known him very long. That seems to be the source of his problem.
He needs a little bit of discipline.
He definitely needs some discipline.
Oh, Memnon can give him all the discipline he wants.
That's actually a really good point.
Okay. So, Memnon's just going to ask him, considering your financial standing, do you have the rent covered for the foreseeable future?
Oh, of course. I make do.
Very well, then. I have a task for you right now, if you're willing to take it.
Already, of course.
We'll just call it a exercise. And you will be compensated for the quality of the information you bring me. As a
Very
start,
well.
I would like you to become acquainted, perhaps, with some of the city guards within the guild hall. The lower men on the totem pole. Essentially, I need you to find out what requirements does it take to become a member of the City Watch. Perhaps you can pose as someone so interested. Come back to me with that crucial information and anything else you can pick up about City Watch at the guild hall. Does that sound too difficult?
He considers that and he says, well, if that's my mission, I shall need a new cap.
A new cap, as in hat?
Yeah.
Very well. What particular cap are you looking for?
Something new and stylish. Make myself look approachable.
Right. While we're on it, why don't you come by my house during the morning? I will be attending business elsewhere. I will have Sophia clean you up.
His eyes kind of brighten. He says, Sophia?
Yes, the married woman to my Gadawain. I'm just pointing that out.
He considers your tone of voice very, very carefully for a moment and nods.
I may be a Lasombre, but the honor of my ghouls are at stake. But yeah, Memnon will tell him that he'll have her fetch him a new cap.
He nods. Very well. I shall do.
Splendid. Well then, I will see you again, perhaps tomorrow evening. Is there anything that... Oh, no, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
He just says, I look forward to it.
Memnon, before Memnon goes, he'll just ask, is there any needs that he needs immediately?
No, my lord.
Can I just roll perception empathy on that? Because I find it weird that he speaks of desperation, but here Memnon is like, yo, you want a job? You need some coin? And he's like, nah, I'm good.
Sure. Go ahead and reduce the difficulty by 1 for your commerce dots.
Commerce?
I will explain when we see your results.
On this roll? Oh, so wait, what am I rolling?
You said perception empathy, right?
Yeah.
But it's a commercial matter, so.
Oh, okay. Reduce the difficulty by my commerce dots, you said.
Well, didn't help you too much, but yeah, you have 4 successes. Looking around at the situation that he's in, you get the sense that you had asked him why he approached you, and you get the sense that maybe he's fallen back on better times, that his financial situation is probably a lot of ebb and flow, a lot of feast and famine. Especially the way that he's described himself to you as being very, he's had a bunch of jobs. And you would guess that he's probably doing fine right now. He's got himself out of his mother's house for whatever reason and has moved in here. But again, you get the sense that he wasn't lying to you, and he's not lying to you now, but he doesn't tend to be a very stable sort of person just in life.
I see.
So I'm going to add, since you had 4 successes, I'm going to add that you get the sense that he might not be very stable. He might be very willing to do things that are not necessarily ethical when he's on hard times, but you also get the sense that he has a good heart. He's not necessarily greedy, right? Like, you offered him whatever, and he's like, nope, don't need it right now, I'm good,
Understandable.
He doesn't seem to be a very ambitious person.
Ooh. I'm not asking for an answer, but I'm just saying, like, Memnon probably gonna think like his nature is something like a survivor, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. All right, then yeah, Memnon will just before he leaves, he'll emphasize to him, and now that we have this relationship, you will never tell anyone what we have spoken in private. And that's to dominate the level 2 I'm putting in his head.
Okay.
Success.
Okay. He stares at you and then nods slowly, and you can almost see it sinking in. Very well, my lord. Of course. Privacy. Very important. Privacy is very important. I will value your privacy.
Secrecy, he stresses with like a little pinky finger. I don't know.
His eyes kind of widen. He goes, oh, your secrecy. I will value your secrecy, my lord. Yes.
Well then, I guess with that, Memnon will head back into the night.
Okay. Where do you go? Are you going back home?
I suppose Memnon will pass by his shop just to see what's going on.
Excellent. Okay. Do you stop in?
Yeah.
As you stop in, is Gadwain your blacksmith?
Yeah, he is.
Gadwain straightens from the smithy as you pop in, and he says, "Ah, that handsome fellow was here. Luftig, looking for you."
Oh. How did he appear, Gadwain? Was he in distress?
He looked well.
Very good. Did he ask of you any accommodations?
No, and he said he would look for you at home.
Oh, I see. Was that a short while ago?
He nods.
You think he is waiting for me there?
That would be my guess, unless he's left a note and given up.
Well then. I just came to check if everything was fine with you. Is there anything you need to bring to my attention?
He shakes his head.
Very well. Good man. And he'll pat him on the shoulder. Good ghoul, good ghoul. And he'll say, yes, I'll return to our home. And he actually says that a little warmly, our home.
Uh-huh.
And see if my friend is waiting there for me.
He nods. He tells you to have a safe evening.
Mm-hmm. Memnon will. He hopes. And yeah, safe evenings for Memnon. That doesn't seem to always happen.
It's fair. It's fair. No, everything. Yeah, when you get home, sure enough, Luftig is waiting for you. Not in your house. He's
good.
Waiting out.
Yes, he has some manners.
He's waiting outside the door, kind of leaned against the wall, just kind of watching people pass, and his face lights up when he sees you.
Well, Luftig, good to see you again. I heard you were looking for me.
You are correct. I am doing just that. A pleasure to see you. I hope you're well.
As well as can be. And you, my friend?
Quite well, quite well. He's holding a leather satchel in one hand, and he kind of hefts it and says, "I have plans to show you."
Memnon looks pleased. We'll say, well then, come in. No need to stand out here.
He nods and hurries inside. And once you're inside, he lays out several pieces of leather on which have been they've been used as basically parchment, with charcoal scratchings on them, drawing out the room that he intends for Margot. There are large parts of the room that have been left off, as though there are secrets there that he probably doesn't want to share with Memnon, but
Understandable.
yeah. But in general, it's a pretty good. You can get a pretty good sense of the design.
Memnon will commend him in what he finds aesthetically pleasing and accurate and all that about the design. But he'll ask him, is it my approval or my critique as to why you are showing me this?
If you have critique, I welcome it. But what I've come for is your commission. I wish to ask you and your men to build these for me. And he points to places on the where he has the design includes metal screens.
Hmm. Very well. Okay, let's just can I make a roll to examine anything that might be off or glaring
Sure,
inconsistency? Okay.
absolutely.
What should I roll?
Perception architecture
Okay.
or wits, either one. Wits actually probably makes more sense. Ooh, that's a pretty good roll. Okay. Uh, bummer. Stupid ones. We have 2 successes. With 2 successes, it seems like it's a pretty solid plan. You feel like they're, from what he's told you, you feel like it's probably going to have a certain understated elegance to it that very much appeals to your own somber sense of grandeur.
Mm-hmm.
Solid and practical. What you do notice is that you have seen the room that it's supposed to adjoin to,
Mm-hmm.
since you know that it's supposed to abut Hiwat's reception area,
Mm-hmm.
and you are keenly aware that it looks like maybe some dimensions that were that he has planned are definitely different from what you have seen existing in Hiwat's, the room Hiwat has already built.
Oh, okay. So it looks that like he's trying to pack more into a room than he has space for.
No, it looks like maybe he and Hiwat had planned out the where the rooms like join, and then something's gotten changed. Either he changed it or she changed it, or they don't have the doors in the same places, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. Um, so yeah, I guess Memnon will just, kind of comment that and just ask
Mm-hmm.
him for clarification if there's something he might not be understanding.
Gosh, my phone just needs to not sit on that thing.
Mhm.
Um, he looks startled and then he looks frustrated and fairly angry and says, I shall have to go measure myself, I suppose. I should have known she would change it.
He'll try to calm him down. Do not be so flustered. These things happen, and it is an inevitability, an eventuality. You must learn how to temper yourself when dealing with, well, pickled customers. But you have your commission. Me and my men will be glad to build it. If you wish, I can take the measurements for you and amend your drawings. It's up to you.
No need. I will measure myself. I should see what she's wrought anyway. Snakes.
I did have that conversation with your primogen. I She did let me see what Huot had brought to, well, a near completion. Though it was said, I did not mean to put Huot in such a position. However, I think she's did not take certain measures into consideration. And Memnon gives him a smile, like Leofdig should know what he's referencing.
Then you think it can be sabotaged?
Oh, of course it could be sabotaged. That's entirely possible.
If I bring you with me, if I bring you with me for measuring, perhaps you'll be able to get the measurements you need
Hmm.
to ruin it as soon as she puts water into it.
Hmm. If you can assure some level of security, that being not any, well, peeping eyes, of course.
He frowns and nods. course, of course. If you can get me the plans for how to sabotage it, I'm sure I can do the work myself. But I do not have the knowledge of plumbing that you seem to have.
Let us be very clear, since what we are talking about is something that, well, this is a high gamble, especially since it is involving that of your Primogen's own business. I would recommend that the sabotage itself be something that is repairable, not lethal to any parties involved, but just enough to question her capabilities.
He nods slowly. It would be better if it were irreparable, if her plans must be changed and rebuilt, if perhaps something could be sabotaged outside her plans to make it look as though she did not take into consideration all factors.
Oh, I think we can arrange that. That won't be too hard. But what I mean is that what we damage should be repaired for the sake of your Primogen when it comes time.
Of course, I wish nothing else harmed of hers. He seems very much emphatic on that point.
When do you need your plans to be executed, and when do you need this sabotage to occur? I must have a time frame.
I will begin building in the next month. I doubt she will put water into the final. I doubt that the final will be completed by the month after.
Very well.
We have time.
Excellent. I will let you know what progress I've made before its execution, just so that we are in agreement of what will happen.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And okay, since I have a guest with me in my house, so
yeah.
I think this is a good place to end. Memnon
Absolutely.
Memnon will just talk more with Leofdig about little things, maybe just try to have friendly conversation. So yeah, and so until he is ready to go home, Memnon will just entertain him as a guest.
Perfect. We enjoyed your company, and you part ways cheerfully and in good company.
Okay. So with that, thank the players for playing and the watchers for watching. It's another episode of Test of the Dark Crusade, and thanks to our ST. Have a good night.